Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm Ben from Universal Audio, and welcome to a very special live stream. As you can see, we're back in the studio for the special occasion, and I'm here to announce 3 exciting new products from Universal Audio, the UAFX Stomp Boxes. These are incredible stereo effect pedals made to fit on your pedal board and give you UA quality effects anywhere you want. These are incredibly powerful pedals. They deliver authentic emulations of pedals that we all know and love. They're super intuitive, they sound incredible, and today we're going to be demonstrating and kind of walking you guys through all the different effects and features that are built into these pedals. And to help us do that, we've brought along a bunch of great artists. We've got Jim James, Butch Walker, Lyle Workman, who helped us craft the sounds that you guys have been hearing in the countdown and you're going to be hearing throughout the trailers as well. And of course, number one question, I'm sure a lot of you are already starting to see the product pages pop up on retailers across the world. These pedals are going to be selling for $399, and they're available for pre-order today. So if you're watching live, you can actually enter to win a special edition set of all three of these pedals. So if you're watching anywhere besides uaudio.com/live, head over there right now. At the bottom of the page, you're going to see the giveaway widget. Sign up to be eligible to win, and we're expecting, and I can already see the chat's going wild here. There's going to be so many questions. We're going to try to cover as many of them as we possibly can today, but in case we miss anything, we're going to be back here again tomorrow for a full-on Q&A show, as well as a special preview of some of the new features coming to Luna in 2021. And of course, at the end of that show, we're going to be drawing the winners of these special edition versions of the pedals. So to help us walk through all of these new pedals and features, we've brought along. Well, right now at the moment, I've got one of my co-hosts with me. I've got James Santiago, and we're going to also be joined by Tor Mogensen, the product designer and product manager behind these fantastic new pedals. So James, man, how you doing today?
Hopefully not blow any amps up today.
That would be nice.
Ready to
yeah,
go.
I think people at home would really appreciate it. So James, I mean, why make pedals? I mean, UA, like we're known for making interfaces. We're known for making plugins. People obviously know about the Aux that came out a couple years ago, but why pedals and why now?
I can give you my side of this stuff as a design sound side. And then it'd be great to see Torsen.
That would be nice. Yeah, I think people at home would really appreciate it.
This thing that UA does, which is to try to really chase down all of the crazy analog vintage magic and antiquated equipment, which is tape echoes and tubes and all of this stuff. And it just felt like we really could, with some new sort of hardware, go somewhere no one's gone yet, which is to fully emulate preamps and tape heads and tape saturation and all the stuff that makes like these EP3s or Bucket Brigade delays like really magical. And we decided to use all the horsepower we could to basically sound like something from 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. And just to really go, thankfully we get to work here and do this on the pro audio side. I think everyone's gotten used to, here's this SSL thing, and here's this API recreation, warts and all. And we just hadn't really fully gone there on the guitar effect side, So, and then, obviously with Tor's history, I want to hear Tor's answer too, because I think we're all excited about it.
Yeah. Well, we can see Tor's on the stream, but we don't have him here in our room with us. Let's see. I'm trying to get him to throw him in here so you and I can talk to him as well. But so yeah, I mean, and James, we're gonna dive deep throughout this show. We're gonna be going through all the different effects because it's at a high level we got Starlight, the Echo Station, the Golden Reverberator, and the Astro Modulation machine. And so all three different pedals, three different kind of functions, but the really cool thing about each one of these pedals is that there's multiple effect types inside of each one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, number one question everyone's having is like, which ones did we include? How did they sound? How do they stack up? Just having hung out with you so much and kind of learned about what went into creating these effects, it's the attention to detail and the level of detail that you guys put into these effects it's insane, man.
It's you know what, and thankfully it's something we have as a company to always sort of push this craftsmanship thing and just really go really deeper than we probably should. And I think some of the other, and you talk to everybody all the time, guys like Will, and all of our algo team, who, we won't stop until it sounds as humanly possible to a specific vintage unit, and sometimes that takes months to years of not only just figuring out why things sound good, but then how to recreate that in a way that is, it's just if you love a certain piece of gear, all its weird quirks, I guess is the easiest way to say it. And if you don't have all those weird quirks, then you always feel like, well, this is almost as good as the real thing. It's like, well, you should be able to close your eyes, plug into something, and go, well, I'm just as inspired playing through this. It gives me all the feels,
Yep.
as they say, when you play these great things, and then know that 10 seconds later, you don't have to worry about the tape flying off the machine or the tube blowing up, or so some way to get the vibe of that stuff and creatively sort of know it's consistent and it sounds great all the time. And I mean, honestly, I'm sitting in a room, one of my secret hiding places that's loaded with tape delays and vintage amps, and I love this stuff, and it also doesn't work half the time, to be quite honest,
Right.
So I just love the exploration and the tone, and some way to bring the past and modernize it so it's got the sound, but maybe there's some cool thing it does that the original can't do.
Well, and that's the thing we'll be talking about here is like as much as we love these authentic, using the real tape echoes or using real memory mans and so many of these things are just impractical to take on a gig because either the noise or the size or the finickiness of it. Not to mention the fact that often we come to expect these modern features like being able to store presets or have like tap tempo and stuff like that.
Yep.
So what I'm really excited to share with people is how you guys were able to take the sounds and the feeling that we get from the original pedals and then kind of graft that into a modern, incredibly powerful feature set that you are also, dude. These things are built so well. Like, let's not kid around here, man. The casing for these are incredibly well built. They're made to last and made to stand up to gigging.
You'd be surprised how many of us in the building are guitar players, and we were our own sort of best beta team. Everyone had guitars in their office, and Tor's got a great collection of guitars. I can't wait till we get to see his cool lineup here in a second. It goes from everyone in our group to even the owner of the company again is a guitar player, and we all just want to play with cool gear and do something sonically fun. And again, I like pedals. I think it's a fun way to get more sounds out of a guitar and an amp to sort of do the sort of crafting and stuff. And I have noticed this trend lately is to, sometimes, like you said, tap tempo, things that can do discreetly process stereo. You want to have all these, what used to be studio features of wide stereo processing and all this stuff, but it just has to be cool and easy to use as a pedal. So that's the fun, is try to push forward while also keeping a format that still reminds you, oh yeah, I'm supposed to play guitar.
Yeah. Nice. Well, James, we're having some technical difficulties trying to get Tor added to our room. So I think what we should do now, let's go ahead and we're gonna go one by one through these pedals. So let's kick it off. Let's check out the trailer for the Golden Reverberator, and then when we're back, we'll kind of talk. We'll have Tor here on the line with us, and we'll be able to start talking about all these features and diving deeper into these pedals. So. Let's check out the trailer here for Golden. There we go. All right, guys. Sorry, we're dealing with some Zoom issues. We use Zoom to communicate behind the scenes here, while what goes out to stream are these professional cameras. So I'm waiting for my guys to jump back in here. So guys, as you heard James kind of talk about it, these pedals are created with guitar players in mind, but they're not just made for guitar players. One of the cool things that I've really enjoyed about using these pedals so far is the fact that they're stereo in and stereo out. So using them with synthesizers or even as effects boxes inside of a mixing rig, they kind of do it all. And as we're going to talk about throughout the show, they have intuitive controls. So being able to just look down at the pedal and see what program you're on and what settings you're working with. Make it really fun and easy to use. Even if you're on stage or in the middle of a session, you can always look down and see what's going on with it. So I guess I'll speak while we're waiting for Tor and James to jump back in the chat here with me. So inside of Golden, there's 3 amazing effects. There's a tube spring, a plate based on a 140, and then there's also a vintage digital reverb for the hall and chamber effects. So all of these are custom made for the pedal, and a lot of people are I'm sure you guys are wondering out here in the chat, like, are these just UAD plugins put into the pedals? And actually, yes and no. These are versions created specifically for the UAFX pedals that are made to run on this platform. And one of the cool things that we'll touch on throughout this program is the fact that they ship with 3 programs, but when you register the pedals, you're also going to be able to download additional effects for each one. And the I'm getting text here. So we have James. Let me send them the link. Send him here. So you'll be able to download additional effects, be able to load them up onto these pedals, and get additional programs. All right, I got Tor with me now. What's up, Tor? All right, dude. All right, we're waiting. Now we gotta wait for James to join this new link as well. But I think people can see you now. And apologies everybody at home for this slightly sloppy start, but trust me, it's gonna go smooth from here on out. So Tor, I asked James this, but I wanted to get your take on it as well. Why did UA decide to make pedals now? Oh, actually, Tor, sorry, I'm hearing from the control room that they don't have your feed from your camera. Did you start your stream again? There it is. This is pure rock and roll right now. All right, I think we have Tor now. Let me confirm. There we go.
Yeah.
All right, Tor,
no worries, man.
Tor, you're on air now, so we got you. So the UAFX, go ahead and bring us back to your answer you were delivering me privately there on the Zoom. Why UAFX and why now?
Yeah. I think it's a combination of things, really. First of all, if you look at the core competences at UA, we really are the masters of recreating classic vintage effects to a degree of realism that is unheard of in the business, really. And if there's one thing we as guitar players love, it's classic vintage gear. If you look at old Stratocasters, old amps, all that stuff is just right down the alley of what guitar players love. And we really think we can bring something new to the table in terms of realism and audio quality that's unmatched. The other thing is that UA is, even though it's mostly known for more of studio recording gear, UA is pretty much just populated by guitar players. When I started working at UA and got to go to the main office, I was surprised to see guitars in every single cubicle and every single office, and tons of great players there. Even Bill, our owner, is a great guitar player. So there's just a passion for guitar that really just made it a no-brainer to make guitar pedals. So it's almost like the answer is what took us so long to do it more than
Totally.
why now.
Well, and so as we shuffled our show around here a little bit, so they've gotten a chance now to hear the Golden through the trailer, and obviously everyone can see how inspired our video director was by these pedals, by the imagery that we're matching with them. And I went ahead and leaked out to folks while I was filling time there the 3 different programs that are included in Golden, as well as teasing the fact that there are going to be additional downloadable programs available to these pedals later on. But let's talk about the 3 included programs that ship with Golden and give people a chance to maybe hear them here in context.
Yeah, sure. So this actually goes for all of these UAFX pedals. They're designed so that you basically for each pedal get 3 classic must-have effects for each pedal. So it's almost like more of a less is more approach. And for Golden, it's a spring reverb, it's a plate reverb, and it's a digital, more of a hall/room style reverb. So basically the 3 classic styles of reverb that you can think of. Almost like eras up through time from the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. So if we start out with the spring, maybe James is ready to show us a couple of cool tones for that one.
Erica, I can't hear anything. Where'd Tor go and where'd the audio go?
All right.
Okay, so as I said before, the first one that we should probably talk about in here is a brand new algorithm we created for this pedal, and it's a spring reverb that just sounds absolutely astonishing. So James, are you good to go to play a little bit?
Yeah, we got the row up here just in front of a nice Marshall.
Nice.
So here's the spring.
Dude, that spring sounds so good.
Yeah.
And that's the fact. One of the things that people are going to find out here is that there's not just one spring built into this. There's actually 3 variations of it. Correct?
Yeah. In fact, we can go over there. There's a little toggle over here. In fact, I'll go back to my pedal board so you can see that. The toggle. Let's go to the nicer, some more mellow plate here. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna just let you hear it and play it. Again, it's in the guitar to reverb tank, just smashed in front of the amp, just a straight guitar rig. So here's the second one. And what you find is there's this interesting thing when you attack the note, there's just this splatter of mechanical rattle and springs, and so it's all there. If you hit it hard, you're gonna hit it with that same intensity of the physical spring rattling the. I mean, that is really odd to me that it actually sounds like the spring tanks. It's like it's all in there.
Yeah,
all
it almost sounds like you could drop the pedal and you would get the spring shake that you get on it.
It does.
It totally does that. It totally does that.
Yeah. The exact rattles there is And if you play lighter, it's very dynamic. Here's the last one. This is another vintage tank we found that was really beautifully resonant.
That's amazing. All right, so there's spring. What are the other 2 programs?
So the next one is a plate. That's a emulation of a very classic German-engineered studio plate created way back in the 50s. And any guitar player who's into, basically bands, all the famous guitar tones, Led Zeppelin, Eddie Van Halen, Pink Floyd, will know this reverb from, their favorite classic albums. So James, take it away.
Let's go over here, and we're going to be in stereo now, by the way. So this sets in stereo through a pair of clean amps, so you get to hear the plate and all of its studio lusciousness here. So.
Nice, James. Well, and so that's the plate, and then the final one is a vintage digital, which gives kind of like a hall and chamber sort of sounds, right?
Yeah, so that's another classic. So, after those more physically modeled springs, companies started making digital reverbs. And this particular reverb that we modeled is arguably the most famous of all. Anybody who's seen, pictures from famous studios from the 80s all the way up through the 90s will notice this classic white controller with faders on it. And it's just the most beautiful, larger-than-life, lush sort of reverb with the possibility of adding some absolutely beautiful modulation on top of it. And it's actually quite a unique sort of control interface because you actually have separate decay controls for the bass, middle, and treble, and we emulated or modeled that into the pedal as well. So, James, maybe you want to show that as well?
Yeah, let's just give it a nice clean spank here.
Oof.
Goes on forever.
I just want to sit there and say, go have the old classic. Listen to the sustain on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, and so using reverb in a pedal form like this, people are kind of used to this being built into their amps, or maybe using a spring reverb pedal. What's the advantage to kind of putting all these together inside of Golden?
I think the advantage is that, obviously there are amps out there that have spring reverbs in them. First of all, no two spring reverbs are alike, and the ones that we have in this pedal are meticulously hand chosen for absolutely amazing sound. Even the vintage ones, which most guitar players sort of agree that those are the best sounding ones. Even those are radically different because we taken the ones that are in the pedal from 3 different amps, and they sound dramatically different. But on top of that, reverb is not just reverb these days. So it might be that for, if you want to play this sort of more old school bluesy style, want to get that sort of sound, obviously the spring is the go-to thing. If you want something for a clean guitar, acoustic guitar, or even just a touch of like 60s or 70s vibe, the plate is amazing. And if you're into shoegazer, any sort of indie, big landscapes, the digital hall is the way to go. So having all these options in one pedal is just really, really nice.
That's amazing. Well, guys, love to just sit here and talk to the fathers of these pedals all time. But luckily, I've got you guys for the entire show. But we've also brought on some special guests along with us. So we have joining us right now, remotely, as we all are, we've got Jim James from the band My Morning Jacket. And if you guys have, as you heard in the trailers, and you're going to continue to hear in these other trailers, we commissioned a few different guitar players to help us kind of paint a picture for folks about how these pedals sound and how they can be put to making incredibly inspiring music. And one of the top of our list here inside UA was coming to our good friend Jim James. Jim, you hear me?
I am. Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, you're muted. Can you unmute yourself in Zoom there?
Unmute myself. Let's see.
Here we go.
Can you hear me now?
Now I hear you, and now the world hears
Right
you.
on.
We can see you. Jim, man, thanks for hanging through all this. I know you've been juggling a whole bunch of different Zoom IDs and stuff like that. So thanks for your flexibility this morning, man. But
no worries.
dude, first of all, thank you so much for your contributions for these trailers. As you started trickling in all the different sound examples, I kept on, every time I'd bounce them out, I was like, oh man, these are just getting better and better. So I'd love to know, man, what was your first impression of using the pedals and specifically Golden?
Well, I mean, the first thing that I thought was that, I don't know how often you hear this, but one of the hardest things to find is a good spring reverb that's real, in a pedal. I'm fortunate enough to have a couple, real spring reverbs that I love, but it's always been tough to find a pedal that like really just has a great spring reverb. So that was the first thing that I really was like blown away by how realistic the spring reverb sounds. Just right out of the box when you plug it in and start playing it, and compare it to other pedals and to the real spring reverbs I have. So I really enjoyed that. But then once I just started playing with the pedal, it's really easy to play with, and that's something I really like about it. Is like I just started falling in love, especially with some of the infinite sounds, some of the digital sounds and stuff. That was one thing I really enjoyed about all three of the pedals, was the way that they so quickly you can go down the wormhole. You know, you can find yourself lost in a new world. So that's something I've really been enjoying.
Man, I can tell you, it's that what you just said. It's eerily apparent in all of your sound examples of like you kind of getting lost into these worlds. And I mean, that's the thing. You know, I've noticed this for myself, man. Every time I go to like try to test these pedals, you know, so to say, it's really hard to not start just like coming up with music.
Yes, totally, absolutely.
Nice. So, you know, just speaking broadly about reverb, like, you know, how do you typically approach using reverb as part of your sound when it comes to playing guitar?
Well, I mean, reverb for me has always been the vehicle, the ticket to heaven. You know, whenever I get, I remember as a kid playing music, both with guitar and my voice, I didn't really like the way the guitar or my voice sounded until I discovered reverb. And I felt like that was the magic. A portal opened and I stepped through it and I learned to love music and I learned to see music. And through that vehicle, it's kind of like it just creates like another world to live in. And it inspires music. Kind of like you said a minute ago, that's one of the cool things about once you get into a headspace or an alternate dimension that you like. For me, it's like discovering reverb as a kid opened this new doorway to writing music. Whereas before I wasn't inspired to sing or play guitar because it sounded all weird and dry.
Yeah.
And then once I discovered reverb, that was like the first major doorway for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jim, you know, as much as I know people want to hear us just sit here and geek out about pedals all day, actually, man, if you wouldn't mind, man, let's get lost together here for a little bit, and I'd love to hear you play a little bit through the pedals.
Sure. You just tell me when to stop.
All right. I'll start the 30-minute timer now. James, man, dude, Jim, that sounds incredible, dude. So folks are obviously curious, and I am as well. What guitar you got in your hands there? Is that a little something special?
Yeah, this is an exciting guitar. This is a prototype of I can't believe I'm saying it, my signature series guitar that's on the way soon from Gibson.
Oh man, that's so cool.
This one's a little different. The actual one's going to look a little bit different, but yeah, it's so exciting.
Dude, that's so cool. And so I want to talk just before we sign off with you here, your signal chain. This is one of the things that I'm going to ask everybody here on the show today. What order do you like to put these pedals in, and what's kind of the thought process behind that order of pedals?
Well, I mean, I deliberately only used these pedals today, so it's just the guitar going into these 3 pedals. Mm-hmm. The fun thing about pedals is sometimes it's fun to put them in deliberately the wrong order. Like I love spraying reverb into distortion or something, and hearing the distortion gobble it up. But for this, I just did kind of the standard thing of the Astra into the Starlight into the Golden, so that the last thing you got was the, especially when I was playing with the Infinite, I like it when the delay of the Starlight triggers the Infinite. The Infinite is really one of my favorite things on here.
Oh, dude.
Just so amazing sounding.
Dude, it sounds so huge. Like people are noticing this in the chat as well. It's just like obviously it's kind of what people would expect from UA if we're gonna make pedals, man. It is just that sound quality that's coming through. And this is just, you're coming through a mono amp, right? Like, we're not even checking these out in stereo. This is guitar through pedals, through an amp, through a mic.
Supro amp, the Supro redos that they've been making are incredible. These Supro amps sound unbelievable. Yeah, and like this thing, it's like when I was sitting here last night getting ready for this, it's like I sat down and went into the void, and looked up, and it had been an hour or two that I was just sitting here playing, completely lost, which is great.
Man,
that's the goal.
That is the goal. Well, James, I got one smart ass question I saw pop up in the chat. People are wondering, is that your morning jacket that you're wearing?
It is indeed.
So I assume you've got afternoon and evening as well lined up.
Yep, I change right on the dime every part of the day.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, Jim, man, dude, it's so cool to hang out with you. And again, I can't thank you enough for helping us, coming on today and helping us with the trailers, and just all your support for UA stuff is always awesome. It's always a great time kind of getting to hang out and chat with you.
Thanks so much. Thanks to all you all do too. Thanks for all the great sounds.
Oh, you're welcome, man. Well, so as you guys at home probably know, NAMM was last week, the virtual NAMM called Believe in Music. But apparently our friend and normal NAMM host, Henry, didn't quite get the memo. So he, for some reason, still went down to Anaheim, and then he sent us back some commercials about the swag store. Don't ask me how it happened, but let's check those out before we jump into the next pedal.
Hey everybody, welcome to NAMM 2021. I'm down here in Anaheim at the Universal Audio booth letting you know about some of the great swag we got this year. We got shirts, we got hats, and we got socks. Come on by and check them out. If you hurry down now, you can beat the crowds. Come to think of it, where is everyone? Am I early? Where's my watch?
Nobody told Henry.
Yeah. No, yeah. I know what virtual means. Of course I...
Two. Oh man, I got somebody should really have told Henry. I guess that might have been my job Oops. Well, guys, if you guys are watching this live with us, don't forget there is a giveaway going on right now. If you're over on uaudio.com/live, scroll just below the video player, you're going to see a giveaway widget where you can enter to win a commemorative set with all 3 of these pedals, some T-shirts, power supplies, everything you need to get up and running. And we're going to have 3 lucky winners of that commemorative set. And of course, the chat is going wild. It's I can't keep up. So I know there's going to be a ton of questions that we might not be able to get to today, but don't worry, we're going to be back again tomorrow. We're going to do a whole Q&A show. We'll answer any untouched questions along the way, have some more examples, have some more artists jumping on and hanging out with us. And of course, we're going to be drawing the winners of that giveaway tomorrow as well. So enter now, tell all your friends, get them, let them know what UA's got going on with these pedals, and with that, let's dive into this next pedal, the Starlight Echo Station. And before I start picking Tor and James's brains about the pedal, let's check out the trailer for it, get us in the mood, and then we'll come back and chat about it. Ooh, guys, Starlight, man. I can see people in the chat are really enjoying the sounds and enjoying the visuals that go along with these. But let's talk what's on the pedal, man. Let's talk about some features, and most importantly, what are the effects that are built into Starlight?
The same thing, the same philosophy applies to Starlight as well. So you get 3 amazing sounding different delay or echo types. The first one being a tape echo, specifically, what is arguably the most famous tape echo of all time, famously known as the EP3. And that one really covers all the old school sounds, wow and flutter, really cool tape splices, all that sort of quirkiness that guitar players love. So maybe we should just, take that one first, and then we can dip into the next one afterwards. What do you think, James?
The one thing to hear with tape delays is this, how they spread out into this beautiful airy cloud. So you should be able to hopefully hear that over the stream here. Let's just try that.
Dude. Everyone,
I almost don't need to be here. I can just play the chord.
You just play the chord. Just check out. Yeah. And you guys are at home are getting this all in stereo and full stereo effect. It's just like Yeah, absolutely incredible. So that's one of the effects. There's also a couple other algorithms built in there, right?
Yeah, so the next one is an analog bucket brigade design from a famous pedal from the 70s and 80s. Prominently used by The Edge, among others. It's famous for its really warm, sort of lo-fi repeats and its beautiful modulation that you can sort of add on top, both vibrato and chorus. And obviously, we added that in as well. So James,
All right,
go for it.
let's just hit a chord.
Oh, dude, I mean the Memory Man sound, like that's arguably it is my personal favorite delay sound in the world, and it's something that a lot of times you can find delays that have some of the modulation, some of the character to it, but one of the unique things that's inside of Starlight that you guys really nailed is not just the tail part of it, not just the way it shapes the sound, but all of the little details and nuances, and most importantly, the color, the analog color that you find in the original pedals. How and why, and how has no one ever done this before, and then how did we nail it for these pedals?
Oh man, it's a fun story, but it is insanity, honestly, man. And I think you have to, and I think we've talked about this just inside the building, but the insane part of taking PhD level Stanford grads and sitting there and tearing apart ancient pedals and going, now the harmonic content of the, you really look at all stages of these analog things. And the great thing about analog is that you perceive a clean sound, but what's really happening is all these beautiful little ways that the harmonics are generated through what's called nonlinear, or sort of this distortion. And I think one of the greatest examples is, funny enough, the Edge's clean sound. If you take away all the effects, his clean sound's actually really distorted.
Yeah.
And within the distortion lies all these extra harmonics that you just feel like, wow, there's all this extra stuff up there that creates these other notes almost, and it becomes more musical. So the minute you take that away, things begin to feel a little too clean. And for us, we had to do every stage of somebody's vintage units and more, and just you find that just getting into the pedal and that first analog buffer and the way it distorts into the circuit, if you took that out, it just didn't have the same thing. So we actually wanted all the crazy crap that actually happened through each stage, and it's all the way down to the capacitance of the wiring within the pedals layouts. You have to do the whole thing, and you can't even just read a schematic like, well, that's one thing, but then there's like, how is it laid out? Where the parts are sitting, how it's rolling off this high end and distorting at this stage. And if anyone's used some of these older units, the annoying thing and the great thing was if you played through them, there was this little red light on them. They'd always be clipping. And so they're always distorting, and they're adding this extra layer of goodness. And we basically used the next level processor to put back all the crap people have been trying to take out of delays for years in the 80s. We put it all back, which for some reason I love it. I enjoy knowing that it's all there.
Well, and the cool thing too is, so the tape delay and the Memory Man both have a lot of color to them. But then the third effect that's built into Starlight, actually it gives you that other option. It's called precision delay. So what's the thought behind that effect?
Yeah, so precision is really the opposite of the first two ones, where we sort of deliberately put all the warts and all the little imperfections that characterize tape delay, analog delay. Precision delay is really, as the name sort of suggests, a precision tool. So what you see, what you get, what you hear and put in there, that's also what you get out again. Obviously, there's still a ton of possibilities in terms of sort of coloring the sound, whether you want it darker or a little brighter. But the overall sort of feel and sensation is this sort of pristine, beautiful delay. And one thing that we actually added to that is that we added a whole separate delay engine on top of that we utilize only to add modulation to the delay repeats of this beautiful digital delay. So you can add flanger or chorus to the delay repeats without affecting the dry tone.
Yeah, James, can we hear what the precision sounds like?
Yeah, we're gonna do this. Let's try it.
James, you hit on a couple of my favorite things about rocking with Starlight. One is the fact, as you guys have probably heard on in the tape delay and the Bucket Brigade Memory Man, when you go to feedback, you can blow it out, you can go nuts, you can have these kind of crazy tails happening. But with precision, when you go full feedback, it just hangs, and you just get this infinite pad. And I was playing around at home, you start playing arpeggio, and before you know it, you kind of build up this chord that just hangs in the air. And then the other cool thing that you were demonstrating just now, that's really unique to Starlight is the way the division knob works. So I'd love to kind of clue people into how are divisions handled on Starlight, as well as some of these modern features that we come to expect from a pedal.
Yeah, so the subdivision part of the pedal really comes down to the fact that we actually, for all of these effects, are literally running 2 instances of every single one of them. So, even if you use the EP3 model, you're literally running 2 EP3s. If you use the spring reverb in Golden, you actually have 2 separate springs, and they behave differently. So all the sort of nonlinear stuff, all the little random things that are happening with Wow and Flutter are actually separate and totally, put apart for each of the 2 units. So when we talk about the subdivision stuff, obviously one of the really nice things about delay is that you can have them in sync with the music and create these sort of classic David Gilmour, the Edge style, soundscapes where the delay repeat sort of becomes part of the song. And you can use that, obviously, tap tempo on the foot switch to do that. But the cool thing is that we can actually separate the 2 delays and have them have different delay repeats for the 2 different delays. So you can have one that's sort of a rhythmic subdivision of the other one. In what James played before was a quarter note and a dotted 8 note, and it gives this really cool sort of almost reverby ambient kind of feel.
Yeah, it's so cool. And then you kind of touched a little bit on it, Tor. So it has tap tempo, but there's also some cool stuff built into not just Starlight, but into all the pedals that actually allows you to store presets, but also have kind of a live mode to the pedal as well. Do you mind explaining to people how does the preset functionality work on all the UAFX?
Sure. Let me switch over to my little pedal board camera here. So the idea is really that we want to keep these pedals simple. So although there's a ton of advanced stuff going on, we don't want the user to sort of feel all that tricky stuff that's happening in the background. We want them to be super simple. And one of the things that we really feel is sort of characteristics of pedals and what makes them so fun to use is the fact that it's sort of, what you see is what you get. So you have a pedal, you look at the knobs, you look at the toggle switches, and the sound that you hear is the position of the knobs. And the left knob over here, in this case on Starlight, is basically that's a live mode. And wherever I put the knobs, that's the sound you'll hear. So that's obviously really nice. So you get that sort of classic pedal feel that you can always rely on your eyes. And, if you want to tweak something, you can just bend down, grab a parameter and tweak it right away. But at the same time, it's also kind of nice to be able to have sort of an extra sound that you can kind of go to. So, let's say, for example, that I want a more of like a solo, longer delay, but I also need a slapback for a sound or 2. You can actually store 1 preset per pedal. So I can show you guys that on Golden. So right here on my main live sound, I have a spring reverb. But if I switch over to my preset, I actually have a plate reverb stored over here. And the way it works is actually really easy. So if I go over here, and let's say that I like the sound that I'm hearing right now, all I have to do is press and hold this little toggle switch here for a little bit, and you'll notice the light will start blinking. Or you can't because I blocked it with my hand, but in any case it does. And now I'll actually have stored, because I just overridden my plate reverb, now I have a spring reverb over here. But if I go back here and switch to the plate setting, or like the digital one, I can now switch back and forth between those two here. Really easy. And the cool thing is, as I said before, we're running 2 instances in stereo, but we're actually running 2 of those at the same time, because they're two totally separate engines. So the decay that happens when you switch from one to the other will actually keep running at the same time when you toggle between the 2 different modes.
That's super cool. So what you're saying is that if you go from, say you're on a gig, right? You can have your kind of default, your spring reverb kind of ready and waiting on your preset, but then you can have like a big plate or something ready to go for a solo moment. And then by being able to switch between the two, it's not going to cut the effects as you switch. You're going to get to hear the spillover from one effect into the next.
Totally, and you can even do that on Starlight. A really cool thing that James sort of touched upon before was that because the precision delay that we've taken from aux, by the way. So if anybody out there has an aux and like that delay sound, that is the sort of where that algorithm comes from. If you crank the feedback all the way up, you get this sort of infinite repeat kind of thing. That doesn't self-oscillate, it just sort of stays as this pad in the background. So you can actually have that on one of your settings and switch to the other one and play over that as almost sort of like a backing track or something like that, or a pad.
Oh man, that's super cool. Well, man, we're kind of just skimming the top of all these pedals today. We're getting a couple of demos in, being able to hear what these effects sound like really quick. But to help us kind of keep on diving into these effects and learning more about not only how they sound, but how they kind of can get used for both live and the studio, we brought on some great guests. And my next guest joining us here, hopefully in 2 seconds, is the one and only Butch Walker. He's an incredible artist and producer. He's worked with artists such as Green Day, Weezer, Fall Out Boy, and many more, on top of making incredible records himself. And Butch, oh, there you are. Hey, how's it going, Butch?
Good, man. How you been?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. I'm excited to unleash these pedals on the world today.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep it a secret forever, and I suck at that. I've just been trying to hold my tongue because I've been loving playing with these things, man. It's been so awesome.
Yeah, it was. We were as we were getting ready for the show. James commented. He saw one of your Instagram posts where he saw Top Secret in the description, and he was listening to. He was like, I know. That was Starlight, wasn't it? He could hear it through the Instagram post, the delay so characteristically.
Some people can see dead people. Some people can hear pedals by brand.
I can see pedals I'm going to buy all the time.
Yeah,
It's not a...
Totally.
Well, Butch, right off the bat, man, what was your first impression of using the pedal?
Well, familiarity in sound, because I grew up an addict of tape echo, and just being into all things 70s rock, 80s rock, all that when I was younger, and then carrying it on into my earlier stages of producing records pre-DAW recording, where I used tape and I used tape echoes a lot, and I loved them, and I love the sound, I love the color, especially with guitar. I love what they do. I love the preamp gain you get out of an Echoplex, which is a little added bonus. It's like Jimmy Page, that was half of his thing, the sound,
Yeah.
when you have like being able to just get that overdrive, a little bit more edge out of the sound, even without the delay on. And this pedal does so much of that. It does the EP one, so you get the Echoplex characteristics of it, and the preamp overdrive, and the color of the tape and all of that. And I'm kind of addicted to that setting. Plus, I love a memory man.
Yeah.
And there's that element of it too, where you get the where there's just this amazing, beautiful chorus that I love out of that. Where I'll have that as a washy echo, but I'm using it more for when I roll my volume down. It's almost like a chorus on my guitar, and because I love the mod wheel, I love the modulation up. Not scared to waver that shit, you know?
Right? Not afraid to have it kind of swimming around on the sides.
It's awesome.
That's really cool. Well, man, I was going to ask you, like, what's your favorite effect inside of it, but I think you kind of, it sounds to me like you're split between those two.
Yeah, those are my two favorites. I mean, the precision's great too, for just a clean, like, you know, almost like a DD what, 3, 4, 5, how many of them they had, boss? But like it's like a digital delay, just clean, with clean trails that go forever, and they don't decay, and they don't you know, get artifacts in them as much, which is also nice if you're doing certain sounds, you know. But I'm just such a sucker for the good old, you know, analog circuitry and the old ones, and I just think this thing nailed it. It nailed it.
Dude, man, that's so good to hear, and especially from someone who has so much experience using these out in the field. So typically, like, when you're using delays, like, how do you use them as part of your sound? Like, are you doing them in the effects loop? Are you doing them before the amp? Like, what's your feeling there?
Well, if given the chance, like for for live show pedal boards, a lot of times, if I'm going into more of a classic amp setup, like I go into I play into a Fender Deluxe sometimes, or you know, an AC30 or my Bad Cat. Those are great amps, but some of those don't have effects loops, and so I'll just put them in line on the pedal board, and I'll have to adjust my volumes accordingly, because, you know, when you put your, just like people probably already heard today, like when, you know, the gain structure is important. If you're putting the echo pedal first in the chain, straight from the guitar right into the front of the preamp on the amp, it's going to distort the delays, right? So it's going to be more mushy and dirtier, but sometimes that's awesome, and sometimes that's such a great sound. But when I get the chance and there's an effects loop involved in an amp, I usually run the delay through the effects loop, so I can get the trails really clean, and get more delay out of it without it completely overtaking the sound. And that's kind of how I have it set up right now. I have it set up going through an effects loop on the amp, and it's super fun.
Nice, yeah, and that was gonna be my next question. Before I let you loose and want to hear what you got to work with here, is everyone in the chat will murder me if I don't ask you what your signal chain's looking like. So walk us through guitar through to what we're hearing on the other end.
Right now, I am playing through this Music Man Sabre, the Green Manalishi, I would like to call this, and then and then I'm running into a Vox Cutting Edge Drive pedal, which I'm using sometimes not, and then it's going into a Vox AC30 custom head, and that has a buffered effects loop on the back of it, and
Nice.
and I'm running the Starlight pedal here that is going actually through the effects loop, and so that way, you know, I can, like I said, I can control the clarity of the delay a little better with it going through the effects loop when it's post preamp, if that makes any sense to the guitar world. I'm sure it does.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully all the guitar nuts out at home are familiar with how effects loops work at this point.
Yeah, more than I am, I'm sure.
Nice. Well, Butch, man, let's stop gabbing here and let's let you rip.
Okay, cool. Here, I'll put on a little rock jam. All right, here we go. That was a fucking mess, but that was fun.
That was insane, dude. The chat was going wild with you playing that, man. They were like, yes, this is what we came for. Man,
That was
dude,
fun. That was fun to record too.
That was man. I'm so glad to hear it's taking it different places and seeing the versatility of it and how it works. And then of course, like there at the end, like you're just the intuitive controls, being able to just reach over, grab the knob, get the sound, tweak it, do what you feel with it is there's just no replacement for that, right?
No, it's great. I mean, knobs.
Exactly. Well, Butch, man, before I let you go, I'm kind of poking everybody's brain here on the stream today, asking them about pedal order. So we're obviously been talking a bunch about Starlight here with you today, but you've had a chance to actually work with all three pedals: Astro Modulation Machine, the Golden Reverberator, as well as Starlight Echo Station. In typical, in your typical workflow, obviously, I'm sure it depends song to song, but do you have a preferred order for placing these pedals in a signal chain?
Well, and yeah, I did use all three of those pedals to make that little demo song because you could hear some of the verb and a lot of that that modulation that's happening from the alpha, the Astro pedal, and it's just like it's got those pedals are. They're their own beasts, and if you run them in different orders, obviously you're going to affect the way each one affects the other. And I don't have a science to it except for unless it's going pre and post preamp on the amp, like in an effects loop chain. That's when I'll be more concerned with it. But a lot of times on the pedal board, it's just it's a pretty standard chain on my normal pedal board where it goes guitar into tuner into my drive pedals. I have a compressor pedal, I like an orange squeezer type pedal, and then I've got a couple of overdrive pedals, and then from there it goes into a which will be the Starlight set for the Echoplex on a slapback, because I do love that. I'm a big fan of that sound. And so that kind of thing is like, it sounds great when it's getting a little bit of gank from the front end. And if you turn your overdrive pedals on, that delay is going to get louder. Yeah. And so, but I love that. And so I'll usually run it into that, and then I'll gank the gain on that, so I get a little bit more of that Echoplex gain if I want that hair. And then from there it goes out into chorus, reverb, and a longer delay pedal. So that's my chain for just a standard pedal board. And then when there's an effects loop, it's my chorus into reverb into delay through the FX loop.
Nice. Awesome. Well, that's so cool to hear. Man, I can tell you think about this stuff a lot, and you nailed it. Of like each thing affects the next thing, and that's kind of the fun part about putting together chains of pedals, right? Is getting to feel those effects immediately, and you don't quite like it, cool, just patch cables out, move them around, and you can just kind of open up a whole different world of tone in 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's like Jim was saying earlier too, that like there's really no rules for how you want to make the order. It just depends on what kind of sonic landscape you want to create, because it will affect it greatly with what order you put them in and have them all on. So.
Nice. Well, Butch, man, we could hang out here and chat all day, but we've got one more pedal to cover, and we've got a show to keep on running here now that things are running pretty smoothly. But man, I super appreciate you jumping on here today, coming correct with the incredible rock demo for us, and as always, man, it's so good to have your help and support on stuff here at UA.
Well, man, appreciate you guys very much. You guys are complete innovators and recreating amazing parts of the past and making it better. So there's my pitch to you.
Oh, I appreciate it, Butch. Well, dude, have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon.
Okay, my man.
All right. Well, guys, so now 2 pedals down. We've got one more to go, the Astro Modulation Machine. But before we jump into to our final pedal for the show, I had word that we have another video from our dear friend Henry, who accidentally ended up down at the Anaheim Convention Center thinking that NAMM was still happening last week. And somehow he also snagged an interview with Fab DuPont. Well, I don't understand how it happened, but it did happen. and we've got the footage to prove it. Let's check that out.
Welcome back to NAMM live in person here at the beautiful, super busy Anaheim Convention Center. Things are pretty much the same as always here. Here's an interview I just did this year at the 2021 NAMM convention. So, what do you think about NAMM 2021? Oh, oui, I love it. And so many people are here en person. Yeah, I noticed that too. Looks like I'm going to get paid my money for this appearance. Speaking of things that are money, how about UA selling their official swag on the Reverb.com? Yeah, shirts, hats, and socks. It's amazing. NAMM 2021. It's bananas, children. Wow, what an interview and what a deal. I think we can all agree on two things. The UA swag on the Reverb store looks amazing, and I definitely still deserve to be getting paid for this.
Nobody paid Henry.
Wait, what?
Oh man, is it just me or did Fab's accent slightly change in that? Yeah, I'm confused as much as you guys are. But guys, the thing I'm not confused about is the giveaway that's going on right now. If you guys are enjoying these pedals and you want a chance to win a set of all three of them, you can do that, and it's a short giveaway. You only have until tomorrow to enter, so I would do it now if possible and share it with your friends. Head to uaudio.com/live. You can enter to win there. And I've seen a few people in the chat asking about, when and where can I get these pedals? They're available for pre-order today, and they should be shipping in spring 2021. So they're coming out here really soon. And I think now it's time. Let's move on to our third and final pedal, the Astro Modulation machine. And before we dive into learning a little bit more about it, let's check out the trailer and get inspired. Wow, as you guys are, these are some trippy trailers, and rightly so, because the Astro Modulation machine, man, this is actually, in my mind, this is kind of the most wide-ranging pedal of the bunch. So let's let the people know, man. Let's kind of walk through what are all the different effects that come preloaded on Astro, and then I also want to tease a little bit about the downloadable presets. So Tori, want to take us through the effects?
Yeah, sure. So as you sort of teased, there are a couple of hidden things on Astro and actually also on the other pedals, but we'll get to that. So the main thing we did when designing Astro was that we wanted to sort of make this toolbox for all these little icing on the cake sort of fairy dust sprinkling effects that you can put on your guitar sound once you sort of, get the delay and the reverb out of the way that, guitar players use, on a lot, if not the majority of their sounds. So Astro is really sort of the, these sort of effects that, that you can use to embellish, that sort of core sound that you have. And the effects that you get with the pedal right out of the bat is a really cool chorus/vibrato pedal. It's an amazingly popular and legendary pedal from the 70s, Bucket Brigade style, so old analog circuitry. Big old pedal that definitely had its quirks, but the core sound of the pedal, the chorus and the vibrato is just beautiful. So maybe we should start there, James?
Yeah, let me get you to the pedal board here. I'm going to start with the chorus. We can switch you into the vibrato mode, which has these separate speed and depth controls. Chorus mode.
Dude, I mean, every time I'm hearing you guys play these pedals, I'm just like, they sound so familiar. Like I don't know if it's what you're playing, James, but like actually I do know what it is. It's these effects. They're authentic to these classic tones, right?
It's the right chord and that right effect. That's like every classic, 80s inspired thing, and you don't have to do much but put the chorus on and one nice chord and you've got a pad.
Nice. So that's the chorus vibrato. The next up on there's a Flanger Doubler. What went into that one?
Yeah, so that's a really cool one. So, essentially for all of these pedals, we, before we even started, developing them, we sat down and we talked about what are the most legendary effects? What are the things that you would absolutely want in these pedals? And, for a lot of these, it really isn't a no-brainer because, what is more legendary than an EP3 in terms of tape delays? What's more legendary than a 65 spring reverb tank from an old Fender amp? So all of these things were pretty logical, but when it came a time to flangers, it's a little bit more of a mixed. The waters become a little bit more muddy because there are different pedals that are incredibly amazing. So what we decided to do was actually model a slightly less known rack effect from the late 70s and early 80s. That's sort of an advanced sibling to a very famous gray flanger box that pretty much all guitar players know and love. And the cool thing about this is that blue rack flanger can actually sort of get the same sounds as the gray one, but it can do an awful lot more on top of that. So you get a little bit more flexibility in terms of your flanging sounds. You want to show a couple of different things there, James?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's see if I can get you to my pedal board here. And actually, there's the ways that we've been using this is fun because I think the way you'll show us later towards how you've been using it post the amplifier, a doubling type of effect. And I'm going to do something a little crazier in that I've got this flanger running in front of the Marshall, really cranked up to sort of exaggerate the flange, which is typically how we would have seen Van Halen or a few folks like that would have used flanges in front of the amp, distorting it. So I've got it here in front of the Marshall, but I kind of like using it with a fuzz face. So this.
Yeah.
You get that really gnarly, just this little cloud of air just flanging through that harkens back to almost that Hendrix tape flange, and it just does that really well. And I can again exaggerate it some more. Before the amp blows up, I'll switch that over.
That's awesome.
So that, again, those are in front of the amp, and we do have another one here, so you can hear it in stereo. So we've got the nice clean setup here on this other switch here. So I'll let you hear that. There we go. And actually, and maybe it's easier to the doubler side. Actually, it's probably cooler just to have Tor go there through that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. And yeah, Tor, people,
Okay.
people,
Yeah, I
people,
think-
been,
I think Tor's
people in
got
the
it.
chat have been asking about
Yeah.
all those shred axes behind you. They want.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
down here. Tor, kill it. Come on.
I'm playing my grown-up guitar now, but as people can see, I have an affinity for weird pointy things that can take your eye out if you're not careful about it. And they go more with the long-haired metal side of me, and that's sort of like that's a little bit of a segue into the doubler. So anybody who's familiar with Pantera and Dimebag Darrell might know that Dimebag actually used this particular flanger that we're recreating here in this pedal. Not for a flanging sound, but actually to sort of spread out the signal and give a doubling sound. And the reason for that is that, most metal guys, when they're in the studio, to get like this big fat rhythm sound, they'll typically double or even quadruple their rhythm tracks to make it really big and fat. And to sort of simulate that in a live situation, a lot of metal guitar players will use some sort of doubling to actually sort of recreate that tone. So anybody who's heard, Randy Rhoads or Zakk Wylde will know that sound. But Dimebag also used that sort of effect, and he used this particular setting. So I sort of went down a rabbit hole and actually tracked down the original settings that he had on his flanger doubler set to doubling mode. And I'll kick on this. It's going to be a vague, oops, there you go, have some more distortion on. But it's not going to be exactly the same. I should probably get one of these crazy beasts over here, but you probably get the idea. So right now, I'll just turn the pedal off, so you'll hear how it sounds regular. So now I'll turn on the doubling, and hopefully you guys can hear the difference. Here we go. So this is without it. And with it. So it's just a really cool effect for sort of fattening up and widening your rhythm, rock and metal tones.
Dude, that sounds sick. All right, so that's chorus vibrato, flange double, and then the third one that's built in is a tube-based tremolo. What did you guys model to create this?
Yeah, so this is basically taking the entire tube circuitry. And pretty much all the circuitry from old Fender amps, old blackface style Fender amps, and recreating that classic. We say tremolo. The weird thing is that on the actual amps it says vibrato, but for the pedal nerds out there, it is tremolo. It is modulating the volume, not the pitch of the guitar signal. So that is sort of classic warm, warbly tremolo sound that we all know and love. So James, are you ready to show us that one?
Yeah, let's check it out. I'll get you to the pedal board here. We're gonna just run it in front of the amp, classic style. Here. We also have sort of a deep switch, so we can make it a little choppier here. And like Tor was saying, the fun thing about a tube tremolo is it actually rounds the corners off as it gets a little faster, so it's always sort of moving and morphing into a different sort of shape. So you'll notice it's actually choppier at slow speeds and smooths out as it gets faster. But wait, there's more.
Tell me more.
I'm gonna go into my little stereo. Yeah, let's go in stereo. And we also gave you this discrete pass. So if you send like ping pong delays into it, left or right, the tremolo would maintain that stereo separation. So, but I'm gonna just play the tremolo, but now in a stereo setup. So you should be hearing it panning from your speakers left to right. And you just on a mode switch here, so you can make it mono, which is still processing stereo. It just sounds like the tremolo's mono. So if I do delays that are panning, I don't know if you can hear. You'll still hear the pings are there, but now they're tremoloing. And I'll double down and make the trem stereo on top of the incoming stereo.
Oh, dude! Now you get waves, you get like ripples and waves, and everything is just the width that you're able to get. Oh,
exactly.
It's so good.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of the things we were hoping to do in that, you get the classic vintage mono tubes busting sound, but then modernize it like, well, we love stereo. We love things before or after it might be a modern piece of gear. So you want to maintain the integrity of the signal path. So again, it's using this crazy amount of 192, actually 8x oversampling processing and analog dry pass to go, okay, it still sounds like a good crappy tube about to die, but if you fed it with some crazy effects processor that's modern day, it would still maintain that level. So it's crazy. I think maybe even Butch was going there, and you see everyone else's use of it. Sometimes you use it in a modern studio way. Sometimes you throw it in front of a Marshall or a Supro and crank it up, and it just sounds like the old stuff. So I feel like it depends on your flavor of that morning. Like, well, do I want to have a modern tone? Do I want to do something creative and stereo, or just be an old tremolo sometimes?
Well, and so I touched on this earlier when we were at the beginning of the show when I was trying to fill time. But so I hinted at it, but especially with Astro, one of the really cool features are the downloadable effects that you can that when you purchase these pedals and when you register them, you're able to get additional effects for it. What are the additional effects that Astro has in it?
So as you said, when you register the pedal, and this actually goes for all of them, we actually give you, some extra effects to add to the pedal on top of the ones that they're sort of born with. And for Astro, the original one that we added is a very famous orange one-knob phaser that is just a classic pedal and almost like a must-have arsenal in any guitar player sort of modulation effect basket. You want to go there first, James?
Yeah, we'll listen to it in front of the amp, sort of classic style. One knob, just turn it up. One extra things we did give you was an era switch, so that's whether you consider the earlier script ones, you can go into a block mode, which is a little, I almost call it the disco chewier sort of phase. But wait, there's more again, everybody. So let's go to the stereo clean sound, and I'll show you what we did in stereo.
Oh, yeah.
So what you're hearing is phase, that's in the classic 90-degree offset in discrete stereo, but then those two things are 180 degrees out of phase from each other. So yeah, you start to get this swimming around your head almost. You add delays in front of it and some reverb.
James.
Yeah, you can pretty much go crazy. Again, I don't have to play much. I play a chord, I just sit there and look cool and turn knobs.
Like,
done.
It's all there, man. Like
it's all there, man.
Speaking personally, like I've never done a ton of stereo guitar stuff before, but as I've been testing and playing with these pedals, man, I can't go back. Like I love hearing these effects in stereo and the width that they add. It ends up the cool thing, at least for me, like in productions, right, is that you end up not needing to do as many layers because you have one guitar kind of occupying the space with extra movement and motion and creativity. Like it's such a cool sound.
Oh yeah, it goes back to the whole thing of It's fun to play in stereo and it's fun to play in mono. And I think I don't think we actually talked about it yet. But funny enough, the pedal actually knows when it's in mono and when it's in stereo. So we're doing a bunch of stuff under the hood, so it sounds great in front of an amp in mono. And when we go stereo, we do some extra auto sensing of the jack. So it goes, oh, I'm in discrete stereo. Let me make things even more wide. And it's actually, while it looks like a pedal, it's got more associated with some really high end. It's a studio rack piece jammed into a pedal that's actually easy to use. So you can go play guitar. Oddly enough, that's again
Totally. Well, before we've got one more guest that we're going to bring on, but before we do that, we teased that there's actually 2 downloadable effects for Astra. So can you guys quickly tell us what's the other additional program? And also, I saw someone in the chat asking if they're free, and the answer for these effects that you get on registration, they are included, correct?
Yes, they're totally free. All you have to do is register. Then you can download them to your pedal. So the last one is really a labor of love. Ross, one of our amazing algorithm designers, has a specific affinity for harmonic tremolos. And we weren't even planning on putting that in the pedal, but he sort of in the weekend decided to just create that based on like an old blonde or brown face Fender amp. So it's a totally different circuit compared to like your traditional sort of volume based tremolo circuit. Harmonic trem sounds entirely different, but it's a really, really cool effect. And it's just so cool that we decided to put that in the pedal. So we actually get 2 different extra effects with Astra. And not only did he model like the classic circuit, there's actually some really cool additional things that you can do that I'm sure James will get into when he does the demo.
all right. Should we
Yeah,
do
let's
this?
give it a quick listen, and then we'll have Lyle come on and give us some examples as well.
Awesome. So it took its inspiration from that brown era Fender that had more of a pitchy tremolo. But again, like I say, as we were modeling springs and tube tremolos, again, it was Ross just was like, dude, I got to do this. And he's just like, okay, let's do it. Just don't tell anybody. And he ends up coming back and adding all this sort of modern stuff around it. So it's like it gets its inspiration from that, but goes somewhere really cool. And I'll try to do this really fast. So I've got your basic. It sounds like tremolo, but you get that little bit of a pitch artifact in it that moves around. And then, again, you could push it into stereo on the mod knob here. And you could make it what we call, this is classic mode. You can make it sort of vibey, so it gets a little deeper and chewier. But wait, there's more.
There's always more with you, James. I love this.
There's always more. This is the modern aspect of it. Is now you can actually use these 2 controls. One is this a threshold, and then a speed. So if I set this slow, and I set this knob fast, this is going to tell it's a dynamic thing. So if I set this pretty high, it's going to sense that I hit it hard, and then use this speed, and then ramp back down to that one. So you get a. Or I can go the other direction. I'll make it fast, and then it'll drag down to slow. So I actually like that in front of the amp too. I'll just use it over here. I don't know if you can hear that, but as the chord sustained, it started building up and ramping like a Leslie. Dude,
I love that sound because now it builds with you as you play.
Yeah, it's moving and doing stuff as these chords are moving. So again, this is just the 5-second version of it. So somebody's going to do something really cool. And there's this guy named Lyle Workman that does really cool stuff. I don't know if you've
never heard of him before, but I feel like the name's familiar. Did he played with Sting, with Beck, Ziggy Marley? No, he did those films. He did Superbad and 40-Year-Old Virgin and all those great that Lyle Workman.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, if we could find that guy,
it'd be great. Awesome. Is there a Lyle somewhere around here? Oh, look at that. He's in our call.
Did you? No, 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 no.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, what's up, Lyle? How you doing, man?
Hey, Lyle.
Doing great. How are you guys all doing?
Oh man, we're doing great. We're having a lot of fun here.
How's the morning going?
It's going great, man. We slightly rocky start with some Zoom issues, but now that we're in the flow of it, man, it's nonstop, just mind blowing effects going on. Every switch of the knob, every time these guys kick something on, it's another like, whoa, what am I hearing kind of moment. It's so cool.
Yeah, well, I've been playing with these pedals and they sound amazing. I love them.
Yeah. What was your first impression when they first arrived at your doorstep?
Thank you. Then after that, plugging them in and giving them a go, and man, they just sound so good.
Yeah. What any kind of go-tos so far that you've kind of been coming back to in them in terms of effects?
Well, yeah, I've got all three here, but I've got the Astra, messing around a lot with that, so I've got a couple sounds dialed in. It's a nice chorus sound. This dual functionality where you can have two sounds on tap. So I've got a chorus sound here, and then just more kind of a light flange. Yeah, I'm loving them.
Dude, Lyle, I'm seeing a note asking, do you mind turning down your laptop speaker just a bit? I think there might be some feedback coming through or notifications. But, dude, instantly, man, the life that this kind of add to your sounds is it's remarkable. And I noticed you've got all three, and I've been asking everybody on the show here today the order of operations that they prefer. Do you kind of have a go-to order for modulation, delay, reverb, and how those line up?
Yeah, I have modulation first, and then delay, and then reverb. That's kind of the way I've been doing it.
Mm-hmm. That seems to be that's the most popular answer so far.
Yeah.
I know James will disagree, and I'll check in with him later about his preferred order and why he prefers it that way.
Right.
But so you're kind of combining all three of the sounds in there, and obviously we've spent the whole show kind of geeking out pedal by pedal, but in combination, how do you kind of find the balance between all of them? What is it? Kind of kick one on, find a sound, kick the next one on, find a sound, or what's the method to your madness?
That's about it. I find a nice modulation sound, and then really just kind of stacking the others on top of that. And I like most guitar players I know like modulation in their delay as well, and sometimes in their reverb. So you can get really an incredible soup of modulation within the modulation pedal plus the delay pedal plus the reverb. So that's kind of what I got here set up. Right now, this is just the Astra with a little bit of reverb, but I could play a couple things where I have them all on, and it's just instant inspiration, really.
Well, man, don't let me hold you back. I know I've seen plenty of chat messages in here. They're like, Ben, shut up, just let him play and let's hear the pedals. So, I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna let you play a little something for us.
All righty.
saw a great post in the chat here. Those are some grown-up chords, man.
Lukather calls them adult chords. That's how you play those adult chords.
Very adult, such adult chords. But man, Lyle, dude, I so appreciate you jumping in today, helping us not only debut these pedals, but you also contributed a lot to the soundtracks that are in the trailers for it. So, man, it's so cool to hear the inspiration that you're getting from these pedals and to have that echoed back through music. It's truly special, dude.
Oh, well, thanks, man. I had a really good time doing it.
Awesome. Well, great. Well,
I put a little thing in the looper if you want me to play a little bit more, or we can.
Dude, I can't say no to that.
Yes,
yes, please.
All right, so let's see how this works. Let me try it again.
Oh man, wow, that was you're a monster. I love it. That was like some
I have a little
Radiohead.
something prepared.
Yeah, I love it, man, dude. That was so cool to hear him put to use and hear kind of the combo of effects, like some verb, some delay, a little modulation. Crushed
Yeah,
it,
so
man.
that had everything on. I had the Astro on, the Starlight and the Golden. You know, they were all on, and yeah, I know. I have to say that modulation is a really funny thing for me because I usually don't really use it, but with this pedal you could just dial it in, just nice, just to have the right amount of it. If you want just a bit of it, or of course you can go crazy and get warbled for days.
Yeah.
But it was easy for me to get a sound that I like right away with all these pedals. So I'm very impressed.
Dude, that's mission accomplished in our realm,
I'll
man.
say.
That's literally what we're going for. Stuff that's fun, intuitive, easy to use, but most importantly, it gives you a sound immediately that you can use and start making music. Like the point of these pedals is not to sit there and play with the knobs all day. It's to get the knobs to a spot that makes you want to start making music.
Yeah, it's got the right amount of tweakability. There's not too many, to me, too many parameters, too many knobs.
No menus to get lost in.
That works sometimes, but most of the time, I just want to be able to get to something immediately and not mess it up
Absolutely.
by having too many things to accidentally press or touch or move.
Exactly. Nice.
So,
well, wow, man.
kudos to the engineering team there and the ears of the great James Santiago. I hear he's around there somewhere.
I heard a rumor. There's this guy James who's got these ears that just they seem to they have an ear for detail apparently.
Incredible. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, Lyle, man, dude, thanks so much for checking in with us and helping us out on this music, on this journey.
Well,
really
thanks for
appreciate
having me on board. I appreciate it, and thank you.
Awesome. Well, catch you later, Lyle.
Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Nice. So, I've kept a small eye on the chat throughout this program, and I've noticed not only have there been thousands of posts, thousands of questions being asked here. So needless to say, we've kind of been scratching the surface of these pedals today. I mentioned it earlier in the show and a couple other times, but for anyone, if you're feeling like you've got questions that we haven't quite hit yet, I know there's been some questions about like MIDI and power supplies and all sorts of stuff. We're going to be back here again tomorrow morning. We've got a special live Q&A. We're going to have James and Tor back on with us, as well as some more special guest artists to help talk about the pedals and answer any lingering questions that you guys have. We want to be, obviously the goal here is to be fully transparent with you guys and give you the best idea possible about what these pedals are and what they are not. So be sure to tune in again tomorrow, where we're going to cover more of the questions that we didn't have time to get to today. And the other thing we're going to be doing tomorrow is we're going to be previewing some of the new features coming to Luna in 2021. So if you're an Apollo user, if you've been checking out Luna, definitely tune in tomorrow, because we've got some pretty special stuff on deck for all of our Luna folk. Don't forget, there's also a giveaway going on. If you guys haven't entered that already, uaudio.com/live. Scroll down to the bottom of the page. You'll see the widget where you can enter to win a set of all three pedals along with some swag. And James and Tor, before we get back with you guys here and ask a couple more questions before we sign off, we've got our fearless Henry, who we accidentally sent down to Anaheim for NAMM. He didn't quite get the memo. Signals got crossed or whatever. But regardless, he ended up having time, I guess, to write a little rap song for us. So let's check that out, and then we'll be right back to wrap this program up.
Hey everybody, I'm down here in Anaheim at the Convention Center for NAMM 2021. And to fight my crippling loneliness, I wrote a song about how great NAMM is this year. Kick it, Steve. Okay. Welcome to the NAMM Show 2021. I'm the only one here, but I've never had more fun. The Hilton cover bands have never sounded better, and I've yet to wait in line for a single food vendor. There's no board booth babes, there's no child prodigies, there's no knockoff gear, cause there's no All E. You can buy UA swag on their Reverb store. They got shirts, hats, socks, and more. And the best part about doing NAMM alone, I can finally play my automaton. I gotta get out of here.
3. I gotta get myself an automaton, man. I'm gonna learn. That's my 2021 goal, is to learn how to become an automaton master like Henry is. That thing is hilarious. Well, James and Tor, man, thanks so much for kind of walking us through all this stuff. I wanted to hit a couple more features and questions I've seen popping up. So, in terms of like true bypass, buffered bypass, analog drive-through, silent switching, spillover, you mind just kind of talking people through what are all the options available tone-wise on these pedals?
Sure. So first thing to sort of stress is that, when you get these pedals, they ship with a specific, configuration. But we are working on some extra secret sauce in sort of an app that allows you to change some of these things. But when you get the pedals, they'll all ship with 2 bypass as the standard way to turn the pedals on and off. But we actually, kind of like what we did with the rest of these pedals, we just, we couldn't leave it there. And one of the really annoying things about 2 bypass is the fact that it has a tendency to click really loud through your amp, especially if you play through with some distortion. So we basically designed this special silent switching circuitry that allow you to use 2 bypass, but at the same time don't hear all the annoying noise that is, associated with that. So that's the first thing. There is also the option of having buffered bypass on the pedal. If some users might prefer that, there are some benefits to that. For example, you can get the delay trails and the reverb trails to ring out naturally, even as you bypass the pedals. Obviously, you can't do that in 2 bypass. There's also going to be the option of actually turning on some preamp coloration or some of these vintage effects where, for example, the EP3 is famous for its preamp. You can actually turn that on as well. So there are a couple of different options there that users will be able to get into at some point. The other thing that you mentioned, Ben, is analog drive-through, and this is something that we consider pretty important on these pedals. And the idea is basically that as much as guitar effects and adding all these cool sounds to your core guitar tone are great and important, the main thing is that we don't mess up the core sound of the guitar, the dry sound. And true analog dry pass basically means that even when the pedals are active, the dry guitar signal that is sort of passed through the pedal is actually stays analog the entire time. It isn't converted, and this goes for the for Golden and for Starlight. For Astro, we chose a different option, which is that when the pedal is on, it's actually all converted. And the idea behind that is that to really get those sounds to really sound like the original units, you need to color. You need the coloration of the dry signal as well as actually also mixing the 2 signals, the dry and the wet, together in the right place in the signal chain. So that's a little different for Astro compared to the other 2. But I think that sort of covers the questions you had, Ben, about all these different things that guitar players care about. And I'm sure tomorrow, if somebody wants to go more into details, James and I can geek out on the intricacies of buffered bypass versus true bypass versus all these things to a degree that most people will probably don't even want to hear.
Yeah, the stuff that you guys dream about that other people don't have. Like, the cool thing is that the results, right? The pedals themselves, they kind of end up making it so that you don't have to think too hard about it. You flip it into the tape echo mode, knob. There's a sick sound, and then you can store the preset by just holding the store button. Now it's sitting there in the preset slot, and you can go back to tweaking like. It's really hard to impress upon people until you guys get your hands on these yourselves. Just how fun, easy, and then insanely good sounding these pedals are. It's just every time I turn them on, I'm constantly blown away by how good they are. I think one of the questions I've definitely been seeing a bunch in the chat was people asking about line level operation. How are these pedals capable of not just instrument level but also line level?
Do you or should I, James?
Oh, either way. The quick answer is, they can take an extremely hot level. You don't have to do it. There's no dip switches or anything you have to worry about. But they're absolutely tuned for a guitar input. So, and that's really the only way to make the effects sound like the originals. But we do have some pretty serious analog design going on. So if you pummel it with near line level, it's not going to die. It'll be chill.
But it does change the gain staging.
And Tor does the same thing. Yeah. You just have to watch your mix levels because it's going to change. Yeah, the gain stage gets a little different, but both Tor and I have taken the reverb and put it in the effects loop of a hot amp. Like I have these other, I think he's got some different amps, but I use a Silver Jubilee Marshall, just crank the gain and slam it in a loop, or one of these other amps here, the 2 Rock or something. But I'll review them post aux. I think Tor's rig might actually be post an aux unit.
Yeah, it is. My signal chain, for anybody who cares about that, is basically guitar into this hot rodded 80s Marshall with way more gain than most people would ever need. And from there I go into an aux, and from the sense of the aux I actually go into the free pedals, which also sort of gets into this idea that you can use line level with these pedals. They're designed to equally handle guitar level as well as very hot signals. And a lot of times I would put at least some of these pedals in the effect loop. Right now I have all 3 pedals in the effect loop. What I would probably do in my main rig was I'd have the Astra in front of the amp to get all this nice phasers and choruses and flanges before the distortion, and then I'd have the reverb and the delay afterwards. But the cool thing about a lot of these effects, like the delays, for example, if you use the tape, the EP3 or the Memory Man one, they actually work really well also in front of pretty cranked amps, which is like a classic, Hendrix, or even like old Gary Moore had like an analog delay in front of his cranked Marshalls, and that sounded great as well.
Nice. And yeah, this is the so I've asked everyone about their pedal chain orders, and it's pretty. It seems to be we're all pretty consistent here. There's a lot of Astra, Starlight, Golden folks around here. But James, I know you're you're one of the outliers here. You've got it. You kind of swap, as I remember, right? You're swapping the Starlight and Astra, and then Golden, correct?
Yeah. If I'm doing 2 clean amps, I typically do the delay first, and then let that go into the modulation that then adds a stereo image to the delay line that then hits the reverb. But if I'm doing mono in front of the Marshall, in fact, I'll show you my secret Marshall setting. It's this. That amp is actually on. That's what you've been hearing on the amps. That is my setting. You put the whole thing on 10. And like this other set of pedals, I'll just show you. The pedal board is this back row here. Let's see if we can get this working here. So these are just in front of the amp. And I think Butch actually mentioned it. Like, I like just turning the mix off, and all I do is turn on the EP3 just for the preamp. Let's see if you can even hear this. And if you notice, it's that amp is just, it's probably going to die in a second, but I'm not afraid to put the pedals in front of the amps on. They react like the old ones, and they do these weird curves, and I love both ways, honestly. I love it, just dying to hell in front of the amp, but there's something beautiful about putting them in stereo to a clean sound, and literally flipping over to the other side. I'm here and just doing those lexicons and. So really, it's I just want to sit here all day and turn knobs. Be quite honest.
Man, dude, that's James. Every time you strum a chord with those sounds, like it's just it's music to my ears, man. Like the delays, everything that happens in between the notes, like that's the cool thing. It's like as I've been playing with these, when I try to go back to like a dry sound, I'm like, man, I miss it. I miss that depth and that dimension that you get from adding some effects.
Yeah, it's and even if it's just a little bit of, say, going into the Starlight and putting on the analog delay, just a little bit of that padding, it doesn't get in the way of the note and stays musical. I think we've, but even that said, we've also got some great people at the office that have been putting them into these huge walls of synthesizers, and slamming the bass into the preamps of So everybody's been just having a great time, and we just half the time we just kind of want them for ourselves. So that's great.
Well, to wrap it up, speaking of having these to ourselves, the world is now going to have them. People are wondering when are these going to be planning on shipping, and what are the details for being able to grab these for the folks out there?
Yeah, so we plan to ship these in the spring. So even though there's a bit of a wait, hopefully people can hold their breath for a little while longer, and you can grab them at all your regular UA dealers, and they're actually available for pre-order. I think there's a link somewhere on the live page.
Yeah, on the there's a new landing page for the UAFX that just went live as we went live with the show, and at the bottom of that page you'll find all the retailers that have them available for pre-order right now.
And there you can pre-order them, and we have a gut feeling, and we hope that they're gonna. You might have to be a little fast to get the first units out there.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Well, guys, man, this has been so much fun geeking out with you today. And as I mentioned, there's a giveaway going on. Don't miss out on that if you want a chance to win all 3 of these pedals together. And more importantly, if you guys have got questions that we didn't quite get to today, tune back in tomorrow, same time, same place. We're going to be answering more questions, talking with some more artists, as well as previewing a bunch of great Luna features that are arriving this year. So that's going to be another really fun show. I hope you guys all join us back here again tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And let's go ahead. You know what? I want to see these trailers one more time. Let's roll all 3 of them back to back and just enjoy the sounds. Catch you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Ben. Victor.